right, well, you know, it always happens. Summer comes to an end, and then we get that fall cool weather coming. Some of you love it more than others, but with the days getting shorter and the temperatures dropping, it's kind of the time to make your space a little more cozy, isn't it? One of the things that I know in the fall is that I want cozy lighting. So I go on Wayfair and I look for that low light lamp, that adjustable lamp. It makes my office feel cozy for the people that come to see me, and it makes my house feel warmer. If you've got kids and you want cozy blankets, maybe it's a time to look for things for your couch, some pillows, anything that can make you want to hang out and be warm and cozy in your house. There's something for every style and every home, and Wayfair makes it so easy to tackle your home goals with room ideas and curated collections. There's free and easy delivery, even on the big stuff. There's no need to shop at multiple stores. Wayfair has it all in one place. Cozify your space with Wayfair's curated collections of easy, affordable fall updates. From comfy recliners to cozy bedding and autumn decor, find it all for way less at wayfair.com. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. You want to really focus on the fact that you are staying connected to your child. The other thing, too, is that if they storm off, or if they go into the other room and they're lying on the floor and they're crying and carrying on, stay around. But that is not the time for you to explain yourself. It's not the time for them to try and learn something new. And you can even say something as simple as, I know this is so hard. Do you want a hug right now, or do you want a little time? Be present, but be quiet.
Welcome to Season 8 of Flusterclux with Lynn Lyons, where we talk about managing worry, anxiety, and all the other emotions too.
I'm Lynn Lyons. I'm an anxiety expert, author, speaker, and mom. I've been a therapist for 35 years, and I'm still in the trenches with families, helping them navigate daily struggles and big problems. Parenting can be a flusterclux, but we tackle the serious stuff without being too serious.
I'm Robin. I'm Lynn's sister-in-law and co-host, and I'm here to ask your questions.
And I'm Ed, the producer of Flusterclux.
And my brother.
And my husband.
Anxiety is a family problem with a family solution.
Hi, Lynn.
Hi, Ed.
We have big news in our family. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, I think. So people who follow me on social media would probably have seen, because I post about it. But our mom died. It'll be a few weeks by the time this comes out, unexpectedly. And we lost our dad a little more than a year ago. And I think you and I were still dealing with that grief. And our mom was really dealing with her grief.
Yeah.
She was just so very sad.
They had been together for 63 years.
Yeah.
Since mom was 19, dad was 20 when they met. And until he died just last year, inseparable.
Yeah. Rarely apart. And so you and I, we're orphans now, but we'll get through it. And, you know, I don't know what I believe truly. And I ran into one of her old friends, was walking by the house yesterday and said, is there something going on? And I said to her, I don't know what I believe. I don't know how all this works. And she was also 83. And she said, yeah, I don't know how any of this works either. But she said she missed your dad so very much that sometimes this is the way that things happen. The numbness is wearing off a little bit. The shock is wearing off a little bit. I am grateful that both of our parents, our dad had Alzheimer's and then my mom had this stroke, that both of them did not spend a lot of their last years in very medically difficult places. And so I'm truly grateful for that. Neither of them wanted that. And I like to think that they're together. I like to think that my dad was hanging out in that hospice saying, here I am, here I am.
Yeah, I think he was.
Yeah, that gives me comfort. So we are carrying on. We are proud co-owners of a poodle. So we're going to share custody, you and I. I have her right now. She loves us both. She and my husband are working on things. They're working on their relationship. I think she's only been here for a day, but I think we've made progress.
Wow.
Yeah.
She'll win him over.
She will. She's so cute. She's a cute little girl. So the world stops, or you feel like your world stops. The rest of the world carries on. But we're getting back into our lives, and here we are recording this podcast, and it feels good to be doing my work. It does feel good to be doing that. So many people have written, sent me messages. I put something up on my Instagram, and the support of people and the kindness of people, it was the same when Dad died, just really makes you feel good about human beings.
Absolutely. She listened to the podcast every week and she enjoyed it.
She did. Sometime on Friday, I would get a text and it would say, good episode, or that was a great one, or I like that one. Yeah, so she did enjoy listening to it. She really liked it when you joined too, also, because then she could hear Robin and I, but then she could hear you too. So that was a nice way for her to stay connected to us.
Absolutely. So lots going on in everyone's lives, especially if they have kids.
Mm-hmm.
And the new school year is well underway. So it's always valuable, be it entering a new school, transition to junior high or high school, or just within an existing school, to refresh the kids and the parents about some of the tenets of your beliefs and your experience. And you wanted to talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so very often I feel like I'm saying the same thing, which is the truth. I am saying the same thing. I work with families, I work with schools, and I hear very often from people because I say, well, maybe you've heard this before, or people will come to my presentations or my workshops and they'll say, oh, this is the 5th time that I've seen you. And immediately I'm like, oh my God, they've seen me 5 times. But they go, no. It's really important. We have to hear it over and over again. And then also just based on the questions that we get on the Facebook page, on our Facebook group, people do need to hear this over and over and over again.
Absolutely.
The thing that people say to me all the time is like, okay, tell us what to say. Tell us what to say. So I am just going to be really concrete about what to say. If you have a child that's struggling with their anxiety, that maybe you're making progress, but you need a little pep talk, you need some reminders at the beginning of this school year, I just want to go over that language again and just give you the script. This is for parents to say to their kids, but it also is really, really helpful if you bring this language into the school, because schools are trying to help with anxious kids, but we know, and we know this from the research, there's an amazing pilot study going on right now done by a researcher named Golda Ginsburg, where the accommodations that are happening in school are actually resulting in an overall increased level of anxiety.
Explain to some of the listeners who may not know what an accommodation in a school is.
An accommodation in a school is something that's put in place for a variety of reasons to make sure that a child has equal access to a learning environment. So say, for example, you have ADHD. Well, maybe one of the accommodations is they're going to say, we're going to have you sit up front. Or say you have cerebral palsy. We're going to put an accommodation that means that you have extra time to get from class to class. Say you have a processing disorder. We put accommodations in place that help lift kids up to a place where they can have access to learning. And all of that is great, except with anxiety. An accommodation is the opposite of what we want to do clinically. So when we put accommodations in place that help kids avoid or help kids not feel anxious or help support this need for calmness or this need for certainty, the research is very, very clear that that makes the problem worse.
And these are written down and formalized accommodations in many instances.
In many instances, they are. So in schools, it's a 504 plan. They're written down. At home, they're not necessarily written down and formalized, of course, but they work the same way. And I would just give as an example, we did a really great in-session a few weeks ago. A mom named Mary was talking about her daughter, Reese, who was 13 years old, who had been in therapy for a long time. You can hear me go on and on about that. Clearly, that was a button that was pushed. And they were accommodating all over the place. So they really needed help getting out of these accommodations. Neither the therapist nor the parents were really doing that. And we didn't even get into the school part, but I would imagine that the school also helping the anxiety do its thing. So across the board, the goal is to think about building skills rather than helping avoidance. And an accommodation for anxiety is about supporting avoidance. We know that that makes the problem worse. I say this all the time. People have heard this all the time. What I'm going to do today is give you some really concrete things to say to your child, because here's the hard part. And this is what Mary was dealing with. This is what Mary's husband was dealing with. When you don't accommodate, it makes your child upset. It makes them distressed. Sometimes it makes them furious. Sometimes it makes them sad. Sometimes it makes them panic. And so it's very easy for you to say, oh, I must be pushing too hard. I must be doing the wrong thing. Who wants to make their child upset? What if I'm emotionally scarring my child? You have to hold the line. And here's some language to help you do that. All right, shall I just dive in?
Dive in. Hold your
Okay.
nose. Dive in.
I don't think I ever really had to hold my nose when I dived in.
Well, you had a pool record that stood for years and years, right?
Yes, but I mean, it was the 8 and under,
Okay.
25-yard freestyle.
Nice. Which took 11 seconds?
I don't know, probably like a minute and a half. I don't know. But here's the story behind that is that we were at a swim meet where we used to go to our swim club, right? Little kids have swim meets. And the 8 and under times didn't count toward the overall swim meet. They weren't included. But the teenagers, and I was very, very small, just by the way, like I was very, very small. The teenagers told me before the 25-yard swim that the meat was hanging in the balance. Yeah. And that I really needed to go as fast as I could. And so I did not breathe the entire time. Back in the day, we didn't have video cameras at swim meets. Now everybody would be recording their kid on their phone. But I bet you that my little arms and legs were churning like crazy. So clearly remember hitting the wall with my hand. And Diane Callis, who you might remember was one of the coaches, looked down at her watch. She lifted up her head and she said to the other person, "That's a record." I remember her so clearly saying, "That's a record." Yeah. And it stood for a long time because probably no other kid was like terrorized into holding her breath by the teenagers. And these 16-year-old boys that were telling me this, of course, I thought they were like the most dreamy, amazing guys. So of course I was going to do everything I could to help win the swim meet. Yeah.
And you did.
And as far as I know. Yeah. So anyway, I didn't hold my nose when I dove in.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. Enough about me. That's a happy memory, though. Okay, so here's what we want kids to hear from parents and educators, if you're listening, therapists, pediatricians. This is really great language to use. So what you're going to say to them is, hey, we're going to work on a plan together so that your anxiety, your worry isn't so bossy. And when we come up with this plan, we're not going to do what the anxiety wants. And of course, that's going to make anxiety mad and it's probably going to make you uncomfortable and it'll probably even make me uncomfortable. But the reason that we're coming up with this plan is because we don't want the anxiety in charge. So here's the first thing this plan is going to do. This plan is going to help you step in because even when you're uncomfortable, we need you to step in and practice so that you can retrain your brain. One of the questions that I ask parents and I ask schools to really think about is how can we make the worry show up so that this child and the family can have practice dealing with it when it arrives. And I emphasize all the time is that that's how we learn everything. We have fire drills at school. We practice our manners, so you might practice with your little child how to say thank you or how do you order in a restaurant. We look for opportunities. And as crazy as it sounds, we want the worry to show up because that's our opportunity to practice it. So that's what first thing we want to stay is that we're going to step in. We're not going to step back. We're not going to avoid. We're going to step in because that's how we retrain your brain. That's the first thing. The second thing we're going to say is we're going to make a plan that's going to help you connect with what you want because your anxiety doesn't care about that. When you read Anxious Kids, Anxious Parents, one of the puzzle pieces, one of the chapters is about having a want to. And when kids are anxious, what they want to do first and foremost is they want to avoid feeling anxious. They want to avoid those physical symptoms. They want to avoid feeling uncomfortable, but it means that they lose track of the things that their other parts of them want. They want to participate in the dance recital. They want to learn how to ride a bike. They want to be able to get their driver's license. So we really want to be very explicit with kids that we're doing this because we're helping you connect with what you want. The anxiety doesn't care about what you want. We care about what you want.
We've talked a lot on the podcast about the impact and the socially isolating element of anxiety and how it can disincline kids from being engaged in activities, clubs, sports, trips.
Yeah, getting a job. I mean, one of the things that's going to be happening is that there are going to be field trips. And I know that in New Hampshire, a lot of the schools, the 8th graders take a field trip. Some of them do this ecology camp. Some of the schools go down to Washington, D.C. for a few days. And as soon as these kids sometimes enter 8th grade, if not before, they start worrying about the trip. And they start worrying about how they're going to handle it. And then sadly, they start worrying about missing it. So they've got this conflict going on inside of them. It is okay for kids to feel both ways at once. It's okay for them to feel like, oh, I'm nervous about going on this field trip, but also I really want to be with my friends and I want to have this experience. So we're just going to be very explicit. Your anxiety doesn't care. Anxiety doesn't care. I say that to kids all the time. Your anxiety does not care about what you want. Yeah. With older kids, I'll say, because once I get to know them, I'll swear sometimes, but I'll say, look, your anxiety is sitting there saying, I don't give a crap or I don't give a shit about what Amanda wants. I don't care. She wants to get a part-time job. She wants to make some money. I don't care. That's what we're pushing back against.
All right, Lynn, we have 2 more to go. Let's take a break and we'll come back with number 3.
Okay. All right. Well, you know, it always happens. Summer comes to an end, and then we get that fall cool weather coming. Some of you love it more than others, but with the days getting shorter and the temperatures dropping, it's kind of the time to make your space a little more cozy, isn't it? One of the things that I know in the fall is that I want cozy lighting. So I go on Wayfair and I look for that low light lamp, that adjustable lamp. It makes my office feel cozy for the people that come to see me, and it makes my house feel warmer. If you've got kids and you want cozy blankets, maybe it's a time to look for things for your couch, some pillows, anything that can make you want to hang out and be warm and cozy in your house. There's something for every style and every home, and Wayfair makes it so easy to tackle your home goals with room ideas and curated collections. There's free and easy delivery, even on the big stuff. There's no need to shop at multiple stores. Wayfair has it all in one place. Cozify your space with Wayfair's curated collections of easy, affordable fall updates. From comfy recliners to cozy bedding and autumn decor, find it all for way less at wayfair.com. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. At Great Wolf Lodge, there's adventure for the whole family. You and your pack can splash away in the indoor water park where it's always 84 degrees. There's a massive wave pool, a lazy river, and tons of water slides for your pack to enjoy together. And the fun doesn't stop there. Get ready to explore and play at adventure-packed attractions. From Magi Quest, a live action game that takes place throughout the lodge, to the Northern Lights Arcade. There's also a bunch of great dining options and complimentary daily events like nightly dance parties, all under one roof. And the best part, with 23 lodges across the country, you're always only a short drive away from the adventure. I was just looking at pictures with Robin about when she took her family when her kids were little. The pictures, boy, they look like they were having the best time. I mean, just looking at these pictures, it makes you want to go and have a great time. So bring your pack together at a lodge near you. Book your stay at greatwolf.com and strengthen the pack. Fall is in full swing. It's the perfect time to refresh your wardrobe with pieces that feel as good as they look. Luckily, Quince makes it easy to look polished, to stay warm, and to save big without compromising on quality. I'm looking at some cashmere sweaters. They also have great washable silk shirts that travel well for me and work fabulously for work. If you wear t-shirts like I do, they have a cotton modal scoop t-neck 3-pack for $36. 3 high-quality t-shirts. I already have several of their t-shirts. I love them. By partnering directly with ethical top-tier factories, Quince cuts out the middlemen to deliver luxury quality pieces at half the price of similar brands. If you are interested in looking good, in saving money, and in having a great wardrobe that works for you this fall, keep it classic and cozy this fall with long-lasting staples from Quince. Go to quince.com/fluster for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/fluster to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/fluster. Okay, we're back. All right. Number 3, we're saying we're working on a plan together that does a few things. Number 1, helps you step in. Number 2, helps you connect with what you want. Number 3, it's a plan that is full of support and understanding. This is not about just throwing kids in there. It's not about saying, we're not going to listen to your anxiety anymore, and that's it. What we're saying is, we're not going to listen to your anxiety anymore, and this is really hard work. So the family has to work on changing. The school has to really pay attention to how they're doing things differently, perhaps. A child, a teenager, and even an adult need a lot of support, a lot of validation, a lot of understanding. I say all the time, this is really hard work, but it's worth it. And the other thing is that change can happen pretty quickly. And if we can come up with a plan that supports, that acknowledges, that's consistent, that if everybody can get on board with tolerating the distress, change can happen pretty quickly. Kids can get back into school. Kids can start participating in activities. I hear it all the time. But they need to hear from you, everybody. These kids need to hear from you that you get it and that it's hard and that you are there to support them and love them and care about them.
What might you say to a young child who is very emotionally reactive to this change that the family is trying to initiate, where the anxiety is not ruling the roost? Parents will sometimes have a hard time staying firm when the child is, you're being mean, you're being a terrible daddy. What does one say to a child in that instance?
Not much. And what you say is just very loving and supportive. So, you're the worst mom ever. You're so mean. I'm never going to forgive you. Why would you do this to me? Totally pulls on your heartstrings. And so what you say consistently is, I know this is so hard. It's hard for me too. I love you so much, and I'm going to keep working on this with you. You want to really focus on the fact that you are staying connected to your child. And the other thing too is that if they storm off, right, or if they go into the other room and they're lying on the floor and they're crying and carrying on, stay around. But that is not the time for you to explain yourself. It's not the time for them to try and learn something new. And you can even say something as simple as, I know this is so hard. Do you want a hug right now, or do you want a little time? Be present, but be quiet. The other thing too that people don't do enough is they don't help kids move their bodies when they're in this time of distress. So sometimes a child is going to say, I'm going to go lock myself in my room and I'm going to shut the door and I'm going to yell bad things at you for the next hour. And you say, I get it. I understand. I'm downstairs when you're ready to come downstairs. But sometimes you can say to a child, this is really hard for you. Would you like to go out and we can shoot some hoops? Or would you like to go for a walk? Or, you know what? I was just going to go and take Coco for a walk. Would you like to come with me? Get them moving. It's not about distraction at this point, but it's about letting their brains and their bodies move rather than having them stay stuck in this emotional state. This is hard work.
What would you say to an older child, ninth grader, 10th grader, who says, what you're telling me runs contrary to some of the things I've seen on Instagram, on TikTok, what some of the parents of friends tell my friend?
Yeah. So Amanda's mom doesn't make her do anything. You guys are so mean. Amanda's anxious too, and her parents are so much more understanding than you are, and you guys are just mean. They don't make her take the bus. They don't make her, et cetera, et cetera. So what I would say to that is, to quote Michael Yapko, as I often do, there's nothing more dangerous than somebody who's real sure and real wrong. We have to be understanding of particularly adolescents because they are trying to get their own information. They're trying to find their own voice. And also the things that they discover and what they hear from their peers are so powerful. I've talked about this before. The research on the mental health information that's on TikTok, when they looked at 500 videos, 100% of them, 100% of them had misinformation. What I would say to a teenager that is saying this is say, you know what? I get that you're hearing a lot of different things. And one of the real important parts of me being your parent is to help you sort through the stuff that's accurate and the stuff that's not. And what we're going to do is we're going to pay attention to the really good research and the really good expertise rather than pay attention to a lot of the stuff that sort of presents itself as helpful, but is really, it feels good and it sounds good, but it isn't backed up by the research. Again, don't say it with 1,000 words, say it with 100 words. And if you have to repeat yourself, that's totally fine. Sometimes we can give an example of the way things have changed or what we used to believe that we don't believe anymore. Oftentimes, particularly with teenagers, when they're struggling with something, they don't want to hear, well, when I was a kid or when I was your age. But you can say to them, you know what? It is really an important part of growing and learning to be able to get accurate information and change our beliefs when we discover that something is wrong. And I say all the time, when I was a kid, the nurse at the pediatrician's office was smoking when we went into the appointment. Yeah. So I just explained that and probably using too many words. So what I just said, everybody, say 75% less of what I just said. Just say it's okay for us to get accurate information. It's okay for us to be critical thinkers. And it's okay for us to change our approach once we figure things out. Yeah.
And something that you've talked about a lot is have these conversations maybe at the dinner table, maybe in the car. Don't have them at the moment when the fire is brewing.
Correct. And also remember that you don't have to have a big, long conversation. So you are just offering nuggets to them. So you might be driving in the car and you can have a 2-minute conversation. You can have a 1-minute conversation. They're heading out the door to go to school and you can say, hey, remember how we talked about allowing the worry to show up? I love you. I support you. I hope you have a good day. You don't have to give them a lecture or a long conversation. And when they say to you, if you've got a teenager that says to you, I don't need to talk about this with you anymore, you say, I totally get it. You cannot force them to hear you about this. And you really want to offer it in a way that is acceptable to them or digestible to them. And sometimes that's in little nuggets, not big, long lectures.
All right, we'll step away quickly and we'll be right back.
Hey, how did you make money when you were a kid? I used to babysit, and I remember we had this incredible lemonade stand that made us a lot of cash. Then what do you do with the money? Were you a saver? Were you a spender? Do you have kids that get money that it burns a hole in their pocket and they spend it on things really quickly, but you'd much rather have them learn how to save up or think more thoughtfully about what they're using their money for? If you are interested in giving your kids a head start on their money skills, then you should think about using Acorns Early. Acorns Early is the smart debit card and money app that grows kids' money skills as they grow up. Instead of having kids that get money and spend it quickly, it introduces them to the idea of how to set savings goals, start building healthy money habits early. They can spend what they've earned with their very own customizable debit card, giving them that extra sense of independence. And you know how I love giving kids independence. If this product had been around when my kids were younger, I would have absolutely used it. Plus, with spending limits and real-time spend notifications, you're always in the loop too. Ready to teach your kids the smart way to earn, save, and spend? Get your first month on us when you head to acornsearly.com/fluster or download the Acorns Early app. That's 1 month free when you sign up at acornsearly.com/fluster. Acorns Early Card is issued by Community Federal Savings Bank, member FDIC, pursuant to license by MasterCard International. Free trial for new subscribers only. Subscription fee starting from $5 per month unless canceled. Terms apply at acorns.com/earlyterms. Hey everybody, the kids are back in school, the vacations are over. It's officially the start of the cozy season, which means you need your Bombas socks and your slippers. They have the most comfortable socks, slippers, tees, and underwear out there. They're made from premium materials like merino wool that keeps you warm when it's chilly but cool when it's hot. Supima cotton, it's softer and stronger and more breathable than regular cotton. And even rag wool, the thick, durable, classic, cozy sock that you'll want all fall. For every item you buy, Bombas donates one to someone experiencing homelessness. Over 150 million items have been donated thanks to customers. If you're not satisfied, 100% guarantee they'll make it right. There's no risk and all reward. I love my Bombas socks. I wear them every time I go to the gym. I love them. I wear them hiking. They last and last and last. In fact, I just got back from a hike wearing my Bombas compression socks. Head over to bombas.com/audio and use code AUDIO for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com/audio. Code AUDIO at checkout. You may have heard of HelloFresh. They send chef-crafted recipes and fresh ingredients to your home. But this summer, they made their biggest menu upgrade yet. This isn't the HelloFresh you remember. It's bigger. The menu has doubled. It's healthier. You can feel great with an even healthier menu with high protein and veggie-packed recipes. And it's tastier. Get steak and seafood recipes delivered every week for no extra cost. There's 3 times more seafood on the menu now. We just had 3 incredible meals from HelloFresh, easy to prepare. One was pork, one was chicken, one was steak. You know what the best thing about HelloFresh, other than the convenience, is that it didn't taste like our cooking. The flavors were unique, delicious. Oh, we just loved them. So the best way to cook just got better. Go to HelloFresh.com/Flusterclux 10FM now to get 10 free meals plus 1 free item for life. 1 per box with active subscription. Free meals applied as a discount on first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan. That's HelloFresh.com/Flusterclux 10FM to get 10 free meals plus a free item for life. Okay, so now back to the show. So we've got one more, but actually you sort of anticipated what I was going to talk about with your last question.
Wow.
Yes, how about that? Because you said, well, what about kids that are getting their information from unreliable sources? Because the fourth thing I want families to really talk about and for parents to really be able to say to their kids is that it's so important that we come up with a plan that is full of accurate information. And I want kids to be able to normalize this, to understand it, to not have it feel so overwhelming because it's mysterious. Sometimes it feels overwhelming because it's big emotions and we're making change, but I don't want them to feel confused. So being able to really give kids solid information. This is why it is so important that kids understand how worry works. I want them to be crystal clear about their physical symptoms. Why is their heart pounding? Why do they have a tummy ache? Why does it feel like they have difficulty concentrating? And all of that stuff is stuff I've talked about a lot. It's stuff that's laid out in many episodes in the podcast. But we want kids to feel like they have accurate information, that they have interesting information, and they can be participants in this that are not feeling like, oh my gosh, what's going on here? I want them to have the stance of sort of like, I know how this thing works. And I will tell you, because I do it all the time, I have 6-year-olds and 7-year-olds and 8-year-olds that are really good at talking about how anxiety works, and this is why we're doing what we're doing. It's still hard, but they get it. And that's so, so critical. So,
Right.
yeah. All right. So I'm just going to sum it up. I'm going to run through the 4 quick. We're going to work together on a plan. This is what you're going to say, parents. We're going to come up with a plan that helps you connect with what you want. We're not putting anxiety in charge. Anxiety doesn't care about what you want. I care about what you want. We're going to come up with a plan that is full of support and understanding and validation. Doesn't mean we're going to have big, long lectures. Doesn't mean that we're going to give the anxiety what it wants. We're going to validate you. We're going to recognize this is hard, and we're going to be supportive. Even when you're falling apart, I'm with you. I gotcha. I got your back. And we're going to make sure it's a plan that is full of interesting and accurate information so that you know why we're doing this, you know the rationale, and you can talk to other people about it so that you can explain how anxiety works. It's not complicated. When kids understand it, when parents understand it, they do better. That's just a fact. I've seen it. So those are the 4 things that I want parents and schools and clinicians to say very concretely to kids so they feel like they've got some nice hardwood floor underneath those little anxious feet. It's really possible to do this in a way that is not complicated, and certainly in a way that doesn't support avoidance, because that's going to make it worse. Thanks for listening. And if you found this podcast helpful, please give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. It helps other people find this information.
And if you'd like to dig deeper on any of these topics, we have specialized playlists on our Spotify profile, and the link is in the show notes. Topics like teens, depression, and OCD. Bye, Lynn.
Bye, Robin.
Time is precious, and so are our pets. So time with our pets is extra precious. That's why we started Dutch. Dutch provides 24/7 access to licensed vets with unlimited virtual visits and follow-ups for up to 5 pets. You can message a vet at any time and schedule a video visit the same day. Our vets can even prescribe medication for many ailments, and shipping is always free. With Dutch, you'll get more time with your pets and year-round peace of mind when it comes to their vet care.